Carl and Liam here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. Summer is in the past. We're walking our way towards winter and Halloween period. So, of course, it's getting goosebumps. We're in season 3. We're up to The House of No Return. A title, when I saw it, I generally went, what? I've never heard of this one, but for good reason, as I found out.
For good reason, yeah. I mean, I was exactly the same when it came up with the name and stuff. I was trying to think in the back of my head, what's this one about again? And I couldn't like place it. You know, even though I've seen Goosebumps through a couple of times, this one does not stick with you. But I do think there are some positives to it, so I'm not sure it's completely fair. But I guess we'll get into it. You know.
No, unmemorability is a major aspect of this episode. So much so that I actually think I could have written notes that lasted about 2 minutes because of just generally how unmemorable the story is. However, as Liam says, there is one element that I did enjoy that we will get to, and the usual stuff as we talk it through. So this one, it's regulars. It's directed by William Fruet and written by Dan Angel. If you know their style up to this point, contrast the style of filming, but also the ending. The ending is what really gives it away for me, because The House of No Return has a particularly dark finale.
Yeah, they have a track record of having those in their episodes.
Indeed, indeed. It is the 3rd episode of season 3 of the Goosebumps TV series and the 47th episode overall. Yes, we have done 46 up to this point. This is 47. Doesn't feel like it.
It's a lot.
It really doesn't feel like it, particularly when I look at the episodes that we've got left and realize, oh shit, this is going to be done fairly soon. Because once we're through season 3, there's like 4 episodes of season 4, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's starting to like wind down. I kind of got that feeling too. Like, wow, there wasn't actually that many episodes of this overall. Feels like there might be more, but yeah.
True. It premiered on September 13th, 1997. And if you're wondering where this book this story fits in the book world, it kind of doesn't, because it's taken from the shorts Tales to Give You Goosebumps. So it's actually a short story from a collection, which again makes a ton of freaking sense once you've seen it.
It does, yeah.
Okay, we open on a dark night looking at an opposing house as we hear the voices of kids talking about another who is inside. Classic Goosebumps. We love to open on a house. We love to hear people talking before we've even seen them on screen. We then see a trio crawling in the grass towards the house, talking about the kid who was inside. It appears it's some sort of initiation for a group called Danger Incorporated. Yeah, okay, kid stuff.
How long do you think the writers took to come up with that?
It's really bad, but there is some good writing in regarding how stupid that is a little later on. The kid inside is Doug, Matt Redman, played by Matt Redman, and he's expected to stay inside the house, which at this stage, I presume, is haunted for a full hour to be part of the group. So you kind of feel like, okay, this is classic. This is a classic horror thing. Stay in for X amount of time, and then you'll be in part of the club, but everyone always comes out running and screaming.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah. The 3 outside, we have Robbie, Jeff Davis, Lauren Annis, and Nathan Robin Weeks. And they're in various stages of respect that Doug has lasted so long already. Now, interestingly, recasting a role here, Robin Weeks, Nathan, he played Corey in Be Careful What You Wish For. So we got to go way back for it. But I didn't recognize him. But
now you've said it. No, I still don't. No, I don't recognize him. He's obviously aged quite a little bit since then.
Not so fast, Nathan. Doug's got to stay in there for a whole hour. He's still got 48 minutes and 54 seconds to go.
No one's ever made it past 5 minutes. He's probably in there taking a nap.
Well, yeah, when you're a teenager, in it, a year or 2 years can be quite a significant change in your appearance.
And you got to see of the Stranger Things kids, how dramatically you change in such a short period of time. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. They're then disturbed by the sound of something slamming in the house. Laurie has had enough, not wanting to wait the full hour, and intrigued by what Doug might be doing inside, she goes to enter the house. But as here, she's stopped by the other 3, revealing that no one actually likes Doug, and they hope he fails the initiation. And I'm just like, then why put him in it anyway? Like, that makes no sense.
True, and also you brushed past one important detail in the description of the episode. There's a small moment between the kids where one of them has a snack with them, and it's like a bag of seeds,
Oh
and
yeah.
the other kid like wants some of them. And I had to note down about this. I said that of all the things I've seen in Goosebumps, a kid carrying around a bag of seeds as a snack has to be the most unrealistic. That right there, because like, what kind of young kid has a bag of seeds? I guess you could say like the mother forced them to have a healthy snack or whatever. But I just thought like that was unrealistic. And the second most unrealistic thing in Goosebumps history, in my opinion, is the fact that there was another kid that wanted some of said seeds. Yeah.
Very good, very good, very good. You're right, I overlooked that part completely.
Hey, give me some more seeds.
I just gave you a whole handful.
I ate them. What was that?
Huge omission. Yeah.
So anyway, all three agree to take a look and see what Doug is up to inside the house. And as Laurie peers through the glass of the front door, Doug appears on the other side, screaming for help, and it's our classic fade to black. No problem with this one. I'd imagine it's quite an effective jump scare for a youngster.
Also, I don't know if there's been any other throughout all episodes we've done, but this might be the first technically like non-fake out sort of fade into the initial break, because technically we do see later that he probably was really scared by something that was actually there, whereas usually it's like, oh, someone playing a prank or something that's not actually physical. Yeah.
No, you're actually 100% right, because although I didn't write in my notes, I remember thinking, all right, when we come back, he's going to start laughing and be like, haha, pranked you. And
Exactly.
it didn't. Yeah, you're right. Because when we come back, Doug bursts out of the house, claiming that something is inside and it touched his face, running off. So yeah, I think you might be right. You know what? That's another thing to do at the very end of the show, to maybe look back at all the fade to black moments and kind of work out some system that they had in place.
Somebody help me! Help! Something's in here! I can't get out! Somebody help me! Let me out! Let me out! Touch me! Touch my face! Stay away, you guys! It's in there!
Yeah.
The trio then set about mocking him and are pleased he failed the initiation. They discussed the reasoning behind trying to include others in the group and decide they need to find someone else to join. So here's a little bit of a, all right, we've written something a bit stupid. Let's add something that at least explains why they want someone else to join. And it's simply the fact that life's boring.
Yeah. I think this is like an accurate representation of 90s kids and how boring life must have been before technology. I mean, obviously we grew up in the 90s and stuff, but before phones and things like that, this is what people had to do to stay entertained, man.
Yeah.
Make stupid little groups and try and get friends to join and have things like Danger Incorporated. Yeah.
Yep. It's something I can actually relate to a certain degree. But the sound of a slamming window scares them, and Nathan realizes he lost $5. He finds it on the doorstep, but the door of the house creaks open and the money blows inside. He's too scared to go in, finally startled in the running of the others when it slams shut. Brilliant. Genuinely, brilliantly done. I know I don't get creeped out by Goose, obviously, but a little part of me went, yeah, that works. That works. It's the creaking of the door and the kind of silence they do and the note blowing inside. I'm like, that is something trying to tempt him in, knowing that $5 is going to be super important to him. I love that. Favorite moment of the episode.
Yeah, cool, for sure.
Oh, great.
Would you hurry up?
I'm coming!
Let's get over here.
We then cut to the next day and the introduction of Chris Wakely, played by Dylan Provencia, and his mother, Mrs. Wakely, Lynn Vaught. Now, they have just moved in and Chris isn't happy about it. But instantly I went, this motherfucker was in another episode. Dylan Provencia played Hat in You Can't Scare Me. Easily a memorable character, because if you go back and watch the episode, we just mocked mercilessly the fact that the name that R.L. Stine came up with was Hat, because he wore a hat. So instantly made him memorable. But I was like, oh, that's cool, because that's not such a big gap, so he's really, really recognizable.
Also, that's quite a promotion from being Hat to being like the lead character. Good on him, man.
Well done, you, Dylan. So he goes off to explore the neighborhood and runs into Danger Incorporated. And they figure, just by looking at him, he might be a good candidate for their group. They stop him and offer him the chance to join, but basically, he does this really cool thing. He clearly has no interest in joining. I don't even think he cares about making friends. He just goes out because his mother told him to. But basically, every question you answer him, he just says the opposite with no sense of like kid shame. You know, he's like, oh, I'm not very brave and I'm scared of horror movies. But whereas a kid wouldn't normally do that, he's just so much like, yeah, whatever, man, I don't really care. And I thought that was awesome as well.
Too cool for school.
Basically, yeah.
Do you want to join our organization? Danger Incorporated.
We have room for one more member.
Danger Incorporated. What is it?
It's a club for brave people.
Oh, well, I'm not very brave.
You like horror movies, don't you?
No, actually, I cover my eyes during the scary parts.
They talk to him, lead him to the house, and tell him that's called the House of No Return, and then recant its history. A history that surrounds a young couple that built and moved into the house years before. Apparently, the couple's child fell for a weak spot on the floor and died. Over time, the couple's grief drove them mad. They became shut-ins. Eventually, after no one saw them for a long time, the police investigated and found them dead. Now, of course, the ghost is said to haunt it, and apparently they steal local kids who dare enter. We do see a little bit of this in sort of like old-timey flashbacks as well. And again, I didn't mind this. I thought the story was creepy, realistic, but also the kind of shit you heard when you were young.
Exactly, yeah. It kind of reminded me of that sort of story you would hear of like a old boarded up house, and it's sort of a generic sort of story, but yeah, it works. And it was, yeah, I think it's effective.
Yeah, the only thing that put me off slightly was that the old-timey footage and like Desperate for Children. I started, for some reason, my head started to think of The Haunting, like the 1999 Haunting, and that's not a movie I like to think about if I can help it.
Obviously, it's like cheesily done.
Of
for a
course.
kid's film. Yeah.
Well, what's The Haunting's excuse?
It's supposed to be like, isn't it almost a horror comedy? I don't even know that movie.
Well, you reviewed it for the site, so go check out that. Yeah. Now after telling the story, the trio still try to encourage Chris to go in, but he simply isn't interested. And he does a great thing, which was where I realized it wasn't crap acting. Like, he wasn't just being dismissive because he was a bored actor. He does this. He queries if they have ever stayed in the house themselves. And it turns out, of course, they haven't. And he just walks away. And I was like, yeah, you just played them for the fools they are.
Yeah, I do think that's another like thing in Goosebumps as a character. It's almost too hard to trick. Sometimes they're too small. Like, they got a bunch of people. It reminds me of the episode of the girl where they're trying to scare the girl in the swamp, and it's the "You Can't Scare Me" one, or I think it's something like called that. Yeah, like a character that can't be tricked. You know, yeah.
Yeah, the Mud Monster one. That's literally the one that Dylan Provencher was in.
Yeah, it reminded me of that a little bit.
Fair dues. That night, we cut to night. Danger Incorporated are having a meeting and realizing that it's a really boring club. This is the part I was saying at the start I quite liked, where they're like, all right, Danger Incorporated is in session. Anybody got any new business? And everybody just goes quiet. And they're like, this is crap.
Yeah. But quite amusing, yeah.
You mean there's no new business?
This is the most boring meeting I've been in. What are you talking about? They're all boring.
Well, we need a new member.
We haven't had a new member since you started this stupid organization.
The attention turns to Chris, and they seem to be a little bit butthurt about his rejection. So together they're like, well, teach him a lesson in bravery. And I'm a bit like, okay, I presume I'm not supposed to like you guys then, because this is a little bit of an overreaction just because he doesn't want to join your club.
Yeah, true.
We cut to Chris's house as his mother answers the phone. It's Robbie calling for Chris. She's happy he has made a friend. So on the phone, Chris agrees to meet Robbie at the others, apparently at the mall. And interestingly, he heads out suggesting to his mother that the trio aren't too smart. So, a couple of things here. Firstly, how do they have his number? Do not give me it was in a phone book. They just moved here.
Yeah, that's a bit of a plot hole, I think.
Indeed it is. So let's just presume they asked around, and I don't know, maybe the adults exchange numbers for the kids. But either way, it doesn't exist in this. When Chris says to his mother, yeah, I'm going to go and meet them at the mall, they aren't too smart. I thought, okay, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to try and trick him. He's going to get his revenge, and it'll be them that gets locked in the house. That was figured where it's going. It seemed like the natural route to go. So I actually think the episode makes a mistake by not going that route.
That is the predictable, trajectory you would think it would go down. Yeah, for sure, I agree.
So yeah, because of the Chris saying they aren't too smart, it turns out he's the idiot. Because we cut the Chris and Deja Incorporated walking through the woods, and they have told him it's a shortcut to the mall. And apparently he believes them. I'm like, okay, so you're stupid then.
Naive now, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they end up leading him to the house, and then, in a very interesting written part, physically manhandle him into the house. I mean, grabbing him and dragging him into this house. I was like, shit. Like, was that okay in the night? Like, was that a good thing to sort of suggest in the 90s?
Now!
Come on. Let me go. Help me. Help. Let me go. Get the door. Help me. Help. Don't worry, Chris. All you're gonna do is stand there for a whole hour. Help me.
Yeah,
Help.
see how brave you are.
You could be our newest member.
We know you can do it.
Bye.
Even like still.
Yeah, to like encourage someone doing that, I don't know. And it kind of obviously makes the trio that you've been following that haven't been too unlikable up to this point quite unlikable as well. So, yeah.
I suppose the argument is, come the end, they will get their comeuppance.
Mm-hmm.
So after throwing him in the house and then locking the door from the outside, they tell him that he has to stay inside for an hour when he can join. And I'm like, you guys are idiots. He's right, you are idiots. Because once he does complete the hour, you think he's going to come out and go, well, you know what? I'll join anyway. He's just going to be like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
So alone inside, Chris starts to look around the dilapidated house. Do like that? It is exactly that. This house does look like it is an abandoned house. I think it looks great. It sounds great. The wind, the creaks, all that stuff that isn't scary, but is scary because it's night and it's a fucking dilapidated house.
Yeah, looks good. Nice and creepy.
Agreed. Something falls from the stairs, prompting them to try and escape again. However, the three pricks outside are holding the door closed. Briefly, Laurie seems to have a moment where she wonders if they should let him out, but then it almost immediately, before finishing her sentence, changes her mind, insisting that Chris can be in the club if he lasts a full hour. I was like, bloody hell, you didn't even give yourself a chance to think about it being wrong. You just went straight to the other one. Inside, Chris tries to talk himself into being brave and finds an armchair to sit in. But the house's creaks are freaking him out. And then he gets attacked by a really bad-looking bat that sort of flutters down. We've seen these kind of effects before. Here's the thing. These days, I am way more forgiving because this is kind of going for a cheesy, dare I say, House on Haunted Hill, classic House on Haunted Hill feel to it. Probably, arguably, I'd say William Fruitt and Dan Angel might have jokingly said, yeah, we were kind of inspired by elements of that. So I kind of feel like they purposely went for a very fake-looking bat, particularly when you compare it to the effects elsewhere that are quite good.
Yeah, I think it was actually like a physical, practical effect, wasn't it? Like it looked almost like rubber or something on a string or something kind of like that, which I prefer anyway. I prefer anyway because Goosebumps' track record with CGI is horrendous. So I'll take rubber every day over CGI.
Agreed. But what I can't quite forgive is the fact that it just immediately disappears, and Chris just seems to forget it even existed. Like, he's not like looking up there, wondering it's on the roof. He's just like, oh, okay. And then decides he's going to stand against the wall with his back to it because then nothing can get him. Okay. Yeah. Outside, the three pricks remark that he has lasted longer than most. We keep cutting back to them, sort of talking about it, and back to Chris as Chris starts to whistle and something whistles back. But before he can take stock of that, a vase behind him crashes to the floor and he sees a dustbin and brush start to rise in the air. This is where I sort of suggested the effects were pretty good here, like the imagery and how it works, thanks to the dark location too.
Yep, I agree.
He is obviously stunned as he watches the tools being used to clean up the mess created by the vase. So this again, you know, I'm always trying to predict where the episode goes. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be evil ghosts. They're just going to be like, we live here. Why does everybody keep coming and like messing up our house?
I thought they'd go in the direction of maybe having the ghosts be aware of what these kids and their pranks they were doing, and maybe they were going to be like, oh, you know what, we'll help you prank them type thing. But it's a bit darker than that, actually, to be fair.
Agreed. That's the thing is what you've just said. There was another line of thought I had. And maybe, I don't know, maybe because throughout parts of season 2 and into this one already, we've not experienced what feels like a classic season 1 style Goosebumps episode.
Yeah, true.
More banging and crashing startles him before a cuckoo turns and warns him to beware the house of no return. Did you recognize this cuckoo?
Is it the one from the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, by any chance?
It is indeed. This is a reference-heavy episode.
Been a few episodes where they've reused certain props and stuff. I mean, they had that actual episode, the Shocker on Shock Street one, where they actually had like the whole prop room with all the props in it. So they got them there. Now might as well throw them out there again and use them for different reasons.
The thing is, I'm going to say, I love it. I love this because it makes, when you're following it along as we are, it makes it all feel tied together and feels like almost like a shared universe, so to speak.
Yeah, almost like, oh, all these stories are taking place in the same universe, which is a cool idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He then sees a hammer being used to hammer a nail into a board. Weirdly, though, he seems scared right now of that than he did before anything actually happened. When all this starts happening, the vase, the brushing, the hammering of the nail, he just sort of seems quite like, oh, what's going on? Compared to before with the creaks and all that, where he actually seems scared. This is where I thought, shit, man, like the direction was off here, and they probably should have been like, no, do that again. We need you to look scared.
Yeah, true.
Ghostly voices then call out, telling him not to be afraid and that they are coming. They're coming for him. Chris tries to escape the no avail, stopping at the stairs and then screaming in fright. And we kind of get a fast zoom to his face, implying that something happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming. We're coming. We're coming for you. We're here.
Outside, Danger Incorporated see that Chris's hour is up and accept them into the club. However, now they can't open the door. It's locked. Obviously, the nail in the board. Weirdly, though, did they not hear the scream? I mean, they would have heard that scream.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
So they decide they're going to break the door down. And I was like, what? Where have you got? Why have you gone to this like extreme now? Like, if you're those kids, you'd be like, okay, he's clearly going to play a prank on us. Let's just leave him in there, and you know what I mean, just go.
Also, where are their damn parents, man? It's the middle of the night.
It's Goosebumps parents, mate. They don't care.
Yeah.
Go do your thing.
Worst parents of all time, Goosebumps parents, takes the cake for sure.
But inside, Chris is nowhere to be found. They search around for him, believing, of course, that he's likely playing a trick on them. And as they look around, a lightning storm starts to happen outside. Just crashes of lightning. They then start to get frustrated with Chris. As they head back to the front door, they find it boarded up. Did like that. That was cool. Sort of getting back there, the sort of camera zooms in and it's like, oh no, it's boarded up. How will we get out? But in a moment of pure idiocy, because they're idiots, they're like, well, Chris probably did it. And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, he in the 1 minute that you walk around the house, he managed to board up without you hearing the sound of hammer and nails. But a ghostly man's voice then speaks up and says otherwise. Danger Incorporated, of course, panic before the ghosts announce that they're coming down the stairs. They then see the two ghosts, and it's a man and woman, the man played by Chris Britton and Susanna Hoffman playing the woman. And when we do get a look at him, They do look nice and sinister looking.
My children. Welcome to the house of no return.
Yeah, they're a ghostly pair for sure. And I thought the whole appearance of them at the top of the stairs and their whole line of "we're going to come down," it's creepy. You know, as a kid, if you saw that, that would definitely probably like freak you out. So it's good.
What really helps make it creepy, the sing-song voices. It reminded me, it's such a weird reference, but it reminded me of Pet Sematary and the way Zelda at the end of that film sort of makes threats, but in a very sing-songy voice. And I realized, like, hearing it here made me think, I thought, okay, that's the creep factor. The kind of soft, subtle sing-song, like it's no big deal.
Yeah. Almost dreamlike type. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. After all, what is that if not a sing-song?
Definitely.
They approach the kids as they try to find a way out, but get trapped in a room. And from here, we then basically the ghosts spit out a bit of exposition explaining that they let Chris go after he made a deal with them. The deal? 3 kids for 1. And of course, the ghosts agreed. And I was like, sitting going, no, they're not gonna just, no, they're gonna do something, right?
No way, man. Surely.
The episode ends with the ghosts declaring that they can't leave and that they will love the kids forever as they advance towards the camera. And that's it. And you're like, oh.
We can't let you go. We're a family now.
We love you.
And we're going to love you. Forever.
Forever.
That's got to be up there with one of the darkest endings we've had. Maybe alongside the Scarecrow Walks at Midnight with the finale of the Combine Halves, the barreling towards the house.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there with that because they're just the only thing you can assume is those ghosts have taken or, you know, killed these 3 kids, and that's just like mad for a kids' TV show, you know.
That's the only thing you can come to. The only thing you can the only conclusion you can come to, that they kill these kids and then these kids are ghosts with them.
But even though, like, at my age watching it, I was even like, okay, you know, I wouldn't look at the runtime or anything. So I was thinking, like, okay, the kids are just going to run out. They've been scared. Going to run out screaming, and that'll be the end. Or going to see something more. But then it just, like, snaps to the credits. And you're like, whoa, it's a pretty, like, effective, like, damn moment, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And it's an ending that lifts this episode up. Because without that, if we had had a bit of a cheesier, bit of, like, sillier ending, it would have still been fun. But I'd have been like, eh. Whereas the majority of the House of No Return, I will forget. The ending will stick with me. As, like I just said, the Scarecrow Walks at Midnight is a good example. Or How to Kill a Monster, the swamp one, where it starts getting dark in the swamp, and we hear this. Yeah, like that's the stuff that sticks with you. These really like, oh, cool. You generally just left it that way, and your imagination will fill in the blanks, but your imagination will naturally go to dark places. I think that's really effective, particularly for a kids' TV show and the age range it's aimed at. That's what I'm mostly impressed by. I do wonder, with an episode like this, if a kid was a particular, like, scaredy cat, so to speak, or was too young to see this, is this the sort of shit that would give them a nightmare?
That's true. That's true. I mean, I have kids, and I feel like my daughter might be wondering and asking questions about what happened to those kids, basically. And you have to try and explain, like, what happened to them. You have to make up, like, oh, and they just got scared and ran out of the house. But in the back of your mind, you're like, holy shit, I think they just got killed. But yeah, maybe I was thinking that, like, because this episode is so, I think it's probably one of the most to the point Goosebumps episodes, kind of really, like, simplistic. And maybe they knew that while they were making it, and they thought they wanted to end it on, like, a banger type note, you know, something that would really, like, make it memorable. And I think it does make it more memorable because of that ending.
Yeah, I think that's about the best we can say for it. Aside from that, I think there's nothing special about it. It all takes place predominantly at night. If you're watching a crap version of it, you'll struggle to see certain things. So try and make sure you watch a decent version of it, so you can kind of get the sharpness of the location and elements like that. The acting's nothing special. I don't think anybody does anything wow at all at any moments. And the little moments I did touch upon as we talked it through wasn't enough for me to know that I think come, say, season 4 or come tier list time, I might need to relook at notes to prompt this one in my head, aside from the ending.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. It's yeah, like I said, very simplistic and to the point, and without the ending, I don't think I remember much about it.
But it has got a good ending, so we will give it that. That is The House of No Return. You got any thoughts on it? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?